Okay, so let me ask you something. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? For forever, those have been pretty much our only two options when we talk about personality. But what if that simple black and white picture is leaving a huge part of the story out? Today, we're going to explore a new idea that might just change the way you see yourself. You know the classic divide, right? You've got your introverts who need that quiet, alone time to recharge their batteries. And then you have your extroverts who get a buzz from being around other people. It's a simple, clean model, and honestly, for a lot of us, it seems to fit just fine. But have you ever felt like, neither of those labels really sits? Like you're not just somewhere in the middle. Maybe the whole idea of getting your energy from people versus being alone just doesn't quite capture what really gets you going. If that sounds familiar at all, you are definitely not alone. It might just be time for a new map. So let's step beyond that simple introvert-extrovert line. For a while now, we've known there's more to the story, and we've been trying to fill in the gaps in our understanding of personality. The most famous attempt to do this is, of course, the ambivert. You know, that person who can kind of slide between both worlds. They can totally enjoy a big party, but they also really value their quiet time. And that was a great first step, for sure. But it still keeps the entire conversation focused on one thing: social energy. And this brings us to the big question. What if the source of your energy, your focus, that feeling of being in the zone, has absolutely nothing to do with other people? What if your batteries get charged by something else entirely?
Well, there's a new concept making the rounds that might just be the word you've been looking for. So let's meet the Introvert.
So what in the world is an introvert? Well, an introvert's focus is directed outward, just like an extrovert. But, and this is the absolute key, that focus isn't on people, it's on the other stuff in the world. We're talking about things like nature, complex systems, beautiful art, fascinating data, you name it. Let's break that down a bit. For an introvert, the fuel source is the outside world, but it's the non-human part of it. They recharge by getting lost in patterns, hiking through the woods, or figuring out how a gadget works. And here's a really important distinction. This doesn't mean they're antisocial, not at all. It means they're asocially energized. Socializing might be fine, it might even be fun, but it's just not what fills up their tank.
Okay, this is all great in theory, but what does being an introvert actually look like? You know, in the real world. How does this play out in everyday life? Let's dive in.
Let's look at a few examples. So, after a super long week, an introvert might grab a book. An extrovert is probably heading to a party, but the introvert, they might go for a long hike by themselves. They're engaging with the world, just not with people. Or think about a museum. The introvert isn't necessarily thinking about the crowd or even lost in their own internal thoughts. They're totally captivated by the technique, the brushstrokes, the system of the art itself.
This quote just nails it. An introvert can be at a party, and they might even be appreciating the structure of the music or the design of the room. But that social buzz itself, it's not feeding them. Their mind is already drifting back to that project, that system, or that passion that truly gives them energy.
Now, of course, this is just a hypothetical chart, but it really helps you visualize the idea. What if, say, 15% of people who always thought they were introverts, just because they don't get energy from parties, are actually autoverts? It suggests a pretty significant chunk of us might have been using the wrong map to describe ourselves. Which brings us to the big question. Why does any of this matter? Are we just making up more boxes to put people in? Well, no, not at all. Think of it this way. Having a more accurate map is all about finding a better way to navigate your own life. This is way more than just a label. It's a tool. It starts with self-understanding. Finally having a word for why you love being out in the world, just not always with people. And that understanding leads to better communication. It helps you explain your needs to your friends and family. And from there, you can actually start to find your flow, building a life around the things that truly, genuinely recharge you. Because ultimately, this isn't about jamming yourself into a new box. It's all about understanding your own personal energy system and knowing what recharges you. That's not just some fun fact. It's basically a superpower for designing a happier, more fulfilling life. So I'll leave you with this. Does this new idea unlock anything for you? Does the concept of the introvert maybe change the way you see yourself, even just a little? The personality map just got a whole lot bigger. Now it's your turn to explore it.